grading the big six in the Premier League this weekend. Obviously can't cover Spurs, they're playing tonight, and I think we'll be getting a 3 points against Fulham. We're going to start off with Chelsea versus Arsenal. It's the biggest game of the weekend, no question. I'm very, very surprised by Chelsea's turnaround. Obviously a dark part of me wanted kind of Chelsea to struggle and meander for as long as humanly possible, but Pochettino is beginning to build a foundation for Chelsea to go on and thrive in big football matches. Now, obviously, they picked up big wins. We're talking Luton, we're talking Burnley, we're talking, Fulham in the League Cup, I think it was. But against Arsenal, they actually showed a much higher level of quality. They've got a midfield that can actually compete with energy, with legs, with quality. I thought Enzo Fernandez and Caicedo actually looked very, very good. I've been slagging off Caicedo for a long time. Is he worth the money? If he stays there for 10 years and he plays at a very, very high level for 10 years, suddenly 100 million quid isn't the worst shout in the world. I still think it is right now in the short term. But Chelsea are beginning to turn around. Pochettino is putting his blueprint on the Chelsea side, no pun intended. And the likes of Conor Gallagher, their level is rising. And Cole Palmer, obviously, I know a lot about Cole Palmer. I've seen him a lot. And he's so talented. The way he took the ball off Sterling and showed leadership. He's a young kid. He's so young. He's not small, but you feel like he's quite a small figure. He's a young, up-and-coming, growing lad, if that makes sense. And he kind of just took the ball, took the penalty, scored it. It was a great finish, great penalty. And you felt that he was running the show. So Chelsea had a very, very good weekend, except for their keeper, who obviously limits the grade I can give them. If he kept a clean sheet, I think Chelsea deserved almost a clean sheet. I mean, the couple of goals they conceded were very cheap. And I'm not trying to wind up Arsenal fans. They were cheap, and it was all down to Sanchez. He's nowhere near good enough. And we're seeing some of the quality of keeping in this league. It's some of the worst we've ever seen. There's no question about it. So I'm going to have to give Chelsea a B+. They've done very, very well. And the turnaround for Chelsea, a few clubs will be looking and observing what they're doing. They will be picking up some big wins against sides this season, mark my words. Right, we're going to go on to Arsenal. They did very, very well to get back in the game. They were gifted chances. The Trossard goal was a beautiful finish. The Rice goal, I've kind of raved about it a little bit on my socials because I think it was a far more underrated finish than people give him credit for. He had a lot of work to do, hitting that ball first time. So for Arsenal to get back in the game, remain undefeated, probably the closest they've come to losing in the league this season and getting a point away from home, I think a grade is very similar to what Chelsea got. I think it's a very, very strong result. I think Chelsea have probably dropped down versus, Arsenal have gained in their performance and gaining a point as opposed to dropping 2 points. I think they should be going to Stamford Bridge and being a bit more in control, showing a little bit more quality, a little bit more poise in managing the game. This is a very weak Chelsea side. If I look at it as an Arsenal fan or someone involved with Arsenal, I think we have to be beating these and keeping a clean sheet or making it 2-1 at the very minimum, getting 3 points, stretching the lead, and kind of doubling down on the advantage that they had over Man City after beating Man City fairly and squarely. Now 4 points out of 6, they sit behind City, still behind Spurs if Spurs win. I don't think it's the best result in the world. It's not a bad result, but it's not also the best result. Big performances from Declan Rice, Saliba as well, Trossard. The fact that they can bring him off the bench, I think he should be starting more games. I think he's the kind of player that should be looking and thinking, I could be getting 20 goals in the league this season. He is that kind of player. He's got such a good finish on him. So we're going to give Arsenal a B as well. Absolutely superb. We're going to move on to Man City. Had some issues with the upload for my reaction to the City-Brighton game. Dominated Brighton for about 50 minutes of the game. Jeremy Doku was absolutely electric. And the reality of the situation is that City will start picking up these points, and that's how you win the Premier League. That's just the reality of the situation. With Rodri back, City look like a whole different side. And there's a lot of criticisms maybe levied at the Calvin Phillips signing, but I think I task you to take Zidane out of the Real Madrid side that won the Champions League, take Gerrard out of Liverpool, take Busquets out of Barcelona. There aren't two Busquetses at Barcelona. Do you know what I mean? Every club is fallible down to main weakness. If David Beckham's injured for 99, Man United don't win the treble because they don't have a player of his quality that can whip things in. That's the reality of the situation. So, Rodri being absent, you got to be positive about it and say, when he is fit, what can City do? And when City have Rodri, it's unbelievable. Even when he plays a ball backwards, he is indicating to the whole 11 on the pitch of he's in control. He's deciding to slow the game down. He's deciding to be a bit more conservative. Then he'll get another ball and he'll whip it around first time. He'll whip it first time all day long. So he's got an unbelievable quality. And the result against Brighton was really, really special. Brighton are a great ball playing side. They showed that with the goal that they scored in the second half, that they were always in it. And City always needed to score 3 or 4 or 5 to really nail the game down and finish it. And Brighton always had a chance. They're a very, very good side, Brighton. They really, really are. Matoma's a very, very smart player. He could have scored a couple on the day. But the likes of Gvardiol, John Stones coming back, absolutely imperative. Absolutely huge for what City need to do this season. Retaining the Champions League is nigh on impossible, if not the most difficult thing you can do in club football. But retaining the Premier League is something City have done over and over again. And City are a very special side. John Stones, Rodri, Phil Foden had a great game. Even Ortega came in and kind of showed the quality and the depth. You know, Arsenal have got 2 average keepers. City have got 2 world-class keepers, in my opinion. So it's a big result for City. The Premier League will be won by those kind of games. And I think the golfing quality between Arsenal not always being fully focused, in my opinion. Liverpool having gaps in their squad. Chelsea, Spurs, obviously not there yet, in my opinion. Maybe Spurs obviously a little bit closer. I think City's squad just looks so good. It was purring against Brighton at points. And Jeremy Doku, he's an unbelievable player. If he can just work on his finishing just a touch, he'll be scoring 15 this season. Mark my words. Unbelievable performance from Man City. On to Man United. They beat Sheffield United. It was a lot of a closer game than it probably should have been for Man United. Obviously, Ollie McBurney scoring a penalty for them. Johnny Evans, Harry Maguire at the back. Dalot scores a world-class effort to get the game over the line. Højlund yet to score in the Premier League, I believe it is, in about 7 attempts. So there's a lot of issues at Man United. Their Premier League title race is over. It was over before it ever began. And I think there's a lot of cause for concern. There's a lot of joviality about McTominay picking up goals, getting finishes like a striker. But reality is, when a side is struggling, and you have to pick out little moments, that's usually when you can tell there's deep kind of issues at the club. You want your best players all playing at the best level. Don't think Bruno Fernandes is. Don't think Højlund's obviously picking out the goals that, you know, a £70 million striker would warrant. Same with Rashford. I think he's been in some really poor form as of late. Obviously, great goal for England. And Anthony, again, ineffectual. So, Man United are miles off it. They laboured against Sheffield United. You got fans slagging off Harry Maguire for the last 18 months. One of the better performances for Manchester United. You won't hear anything about that on Twitter. So United are a slow, labouring, painful watch at times. But they picked up 3 points against the worst side in Premier League history up to this point. So fair enough to them. We're going to give them a B. Oh, I didn't give Man City a grade. We're going to have to give Man City a beautiful A. Final side from the Big Six, Liverpool back to winning ways against Everton. Obviously, it was a lot tighter than maybe Liverpool would have wanted. That's down to some good defensive work for Everton. Obviously, has to play with 10 men for a large portion of the game. What can I say about Liverpool? I'm a massive, massive fan of what they're doing. I like their fight. I like their spirit. I like the signings they've made. I think McAllister had a good game. Salah obviously picking up big goals yet again. And I think Liverpool getting back to winning ways. They're the only side I can see, not about being unbeaten like Arsenal and Spurs are, of course, but actually winning 3 points, maximum results, 9, 10, 11 in a row. Who's capable of doing that? I think that's Liverpool over Arsenal, in my opinion. And, of course, Man City. I'm going to give Liverpool a B. Maybe could have been a little bit more of a breeze against a really dross Everton side, but playing against 10 men is hard. So we're going to give Liverpool a B. If you made it this far in the video, make sure you subscribe. We'd really appreciate that. And obviously tons of content coming out this week. I'll see you very, very soon.